Report published by the World Economic Forum. South Africa is now 65 out of 139 countries. Now, this growth makes South Africa ripe with opportunity, and as such, education has been earmarked as the key element that will get us there. This formed the basis of this year's IAB Digital Summit, and to talk a little bit more about this, we are joined in studio by the Head of Transformation and Education at IAB-SA, Bronwen Auret. Bronwen, good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne.
Let's just get a let's get an overall perspective here. When we're talking digital economy, are we basically referring to anything that happens online, any transaction, any activity that's done?
Yeah. So the digital economy is quite a broad term used to describe online banking, online shopping, social media, mobile technology.
Yeah.
And it's a very exciting catchphrase, I would think, in this day and age when we have people like Facebook and Google doing amazing things, and then we also have people locally who are doing amazing things. So the digital economy is a very exciting space to be, and it's anything that we basically touch these days.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't. I've spoken to many of my friends, particularly over the Christmas season. They gave it a try this year and thought, you know what? I'm actually not going to put my foot into a shop, and I'm going to try to do everything online. There were a couple of hitches that came along with that, because we're not quite there, are we? I mean, we're growing, but we're not there yet. I mean, talk to us about what's missing.
So South Africa is incredibly well primed for the digital economy, and I think a disruptive era is very much afoot. We are prepared in terms of relatively in terms of our infrastructure in our major metropoles, and we have the right legislative environment, and I think we have a very exciting consumer base who are engaging digitally. There's not a person I don't know who doesn't use Facebook. It doesn't matter what age or demographic they come from. Everyone's on Facebook or Twitter or emailing, and for us in the digital industry, one of the biggest gaps is skills. When you work in a business that requires people to be able to fulfill against the business objectives, when you're on the business side of it, not the consumer side of it, it's quite difficult to find people to fill jobs. So the IAB South Africa have identified this and have formed the Transformation and Education Council so that we can start addressing the skill shortage. And our mandate is essentially to make sure that we can facilitate that process and create more opportunity.
Which is quite fascinating, because I mean, we've got such a problem when it comes to unemployment in South Africa, and yet there's this industry that is so big, it's growing so fast, and it's lacking so many skills. Obviously there's a big gap there, and there's this move to try and get people to move more into the sector. What do you study? I mean, if you want to get into this industry, what skills do you need to get onto online and into digital marketing and every other aspect there?
So it's a very interesting industry, because there are many different layers to it, and there are many different jobs which are digital. And at a base level, there are programs like the Liberty program, who in fact won a bookmark last night at our awards for their contribution to transformation. Liberty were contracted by Google to educate people in Africa, and I think their target was to educate about 1 million people in the last year. They started a Digify program, which was to train people at the lowest level in digital skills, particularly in the realm of content marketing and social media. And I believe their program was so successful that they met their target within 10 months, not even a year. So there are very many different levels, and of course there are more degreed or tertiary institutions that one can go to learn more about digital marketing. However, it's one of the fields that needs a lot of work in terms of digital programs and skills. The IAB of South Africa are working to formulate a professional body so that we can start assisting with a structured program so that people can become qualified and enter the market more easily.
Indeed, and it's a great thing, and I hope that this interview and work that you've been doing at the IAB-SA Digital Summit increases people's desire to want to move into that. But there's one little problem, and that's that access to data. It's that conversation that we always seem to be having, and it all always falls back onto this, is that we want to grow the digital market, we want to do this, but it is so expensive. What's happening there? Are government on board? What's the stance there?
Yeah, there are quite a few programs. You know, I think it's something that it requires time, and you know, as I suppose people in the digital economy, we don't have patience.
Yeah, true. We really don't.
We don't. But I think there are some good initiatives underway, and I think that's one of the subject matters we'd like to expose more of in the near future. We have met with different bodies to discuss the matter of access. Access should be a basic human right.
Indeed.
And it's something that we do believe in, but unfortunately it's not something that we could flip a switch and change. It does require infrastructure and development. Having said that, I think we've come a long way in the last 5 years in bringing down the costs of data. And I think a lot more people do have access. People like Facebook and Google have zero rated a lot of their product for people who don't have access to heavy data, which means what they do for a lower end smartphone is they strip out a lot of the functionality which is very heavy on data, but people can still access the platforms. And they've worked very well with the telcos to zero rate this platform so that there is accessibility. So as much as we think of accessibility in terms of purely data, you know, I think there are other parties who are coming to the table to try and make it more accessible to all.
Excellent. Well, I thank you for coming in, and hopefully a lot of people have got some advice out there and some tips of if you're thinking of where to go and study, or perhaps the industry that needs your skills most. There you have it. There's a tip for you. Try and go into the digital forum, because that's really needing some skills here in South Africa. IAB-SA Head of Transformation and Education, Bronwen Auret, talking to us about the IAB Digital Summit. It was held in Sandton this week, also mentioning the transformational and education benefits of the digital age.